Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff. Sorry for the slight delay there at the beginning. Welcome to WYR Reforging. This is my weekly show where instead of doing pre-recorded lore videos or something like that, we just kind of sit and hang out to get to show you what I've been working on. We talk about hobby progress, games played, news from Games Workshop. We'll go over to the community page and check that stuff out. And then we always have a main topic, which today I'm going to be chatting about a game that I just started playing. I'll tell you the story of how I got into it, but it is Marvel Crisis Protocol. I was about to lift up this box and to show you the front, but then I realized all my models are in it and I almost trashed all my own hard work. So, and the reason for that is I want to compare it to Warcry, essentially. So I do talk a lot about AOS, obviously, on this channel. Warcry is a part of that setting. And I want to compare the two games because I'm realizing that the older I get and the longer I'm in this hobby, skirmish games are where it's at for me. I like big army games, like I have a big army, and I have actually, super secret, another one coming in the mail this week. But I don't know. I guess for my own personal enjoyment, I do tend to like the more smaller scale storytelling type things. So we're going to talk about that at the end. Now, as opposed to a lot of live streams, I don't respond to every single comment as it comes in because I am somebody who, I will get derailed very easily. And so what I'll do is I'll basically cover a segment, I'll cover hobby progress, and then I'll open it up to questions and dialogue, and we'll have a little chat in between each segment. So that's how that'll work. So I'll start off just by saying hi to everybody. Let me move, if you can forgive me looking away for just a hot second. I'm just moving the chat to where I can see it more easily. Friday just got better. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Time for some 2 plus hugs, always. I am a hugger, but I'm very self-conscious. I'm trying to lose weight right now. And when I hug people, I want them to feel like, oh, this is like the perfect bear hug, not like I'm being eclipsed by a large fat man. But yes, I am a hugger. I'm way more of a hugger than I don't like handshakes. I'm good at handshakes. I've done the thing where you have to practice to have a firm handshake that shows confidence, but yeah. Although post-COVID world, I'm not sure that bear hugs are going to be a thing. Just scooping up a stranger. Okay, so we're going to move on to hobby progress, and for that we will go to the downward cam here. As you can see, I did a thing that many people have requested that I do, which is, of course, I got myself a wet palette. Sorry, I'm still kind of working on the lights here. I got a new desk lamp because my other one burnt out, and so I'm still kind of reconfiguring the camera so that it's not it's the white balance basically. Because when I first turned it on, it was like, ah, light of God. But yeah, hi Doug, good to be on time this week. Oh, you're good, buddy. So yeah, got myself a little boom. There we go. There might be a bit too much water in there, but I don't really care. It seems to be working. This is actually gray when you stir it up. But the yellow I just practiced this morning and it applied just fine. But yeah, so I'm giving it a fair whirl. I will say, this works way better than the one I bought at Hobby, was it Hobby Lobby or Michael? Some craft store. This is far and away much better. So yeah, I got that. Let me just cover up this water so I don't knock it with my elbow, and then I'll start showing off what I've been working on. So we have here a bland and sad taxi cab, and the reason he is bland and sad is because he is in the process of being painted. Actually, move this light down just a smidge here for us. That might help. There we go. A little bit brighter. All right. Still working out the kinks on that one. It died this morning, and so the reason I'm at 10:45 today rather than 10 is that I had to walk over to Target. Okay, so we got some heroes here. We have Ultron. We have Iron Man, obviously. Got to run, Doug. Oh yeah, dude, take it easy. So we got those two. We got, what else? Here's a Red Skull. and I did do some object source lighting on them. I will definitely throw these up on Instagram later with my full light box. Captain America. And my favorite two, Doc Ock. I call him Dr. Octopus. I'm like, no, Doc Ock is the best way to call him. So I like that. And then obviously Spider-Man with him. I will say, so I'll go into this a little bit more detail later, but this was actually sort of a gift. I was helping a local store owner out with some audio stuff, and he basically cut me a deal where he could sell it to me at cost, just as a way to say thank you. So it saved me like, I think like 35, 40 bucks, something like that. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And honestly, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest comic book guy. Like I was when I was younger. Here's some 2 dumpsters that go with it. I was when I was a lot younger. But the thing is, I was only into very specific heroes. And this is like when I was a kid. Back in my day, we didn't have multiverses and everything was connected. You know, I mean, I guess I just really like Spider-Man because I think in the Marvel universe, Spider-Man's the coolest and also has the coolest villains. Whereas in DC, I definitely think that's Batman. So I liked him. I liked Iron Man and anything X-Men. I was all about the X-Men. So the reason I hesitated so much on getting into Marvel Crisis Protocol is because this set, it comes with all these dudes and 4 more. Captain Marvel, Baron Zemo, Black Widow, and Crossbones. I don't care about most of these. The only characters I care about are 1, 2, 3. And so I was like, that is it. None of these people I care about. I'm going to paint them up. And, you know, it's one of those things like if somebody says they like the paint scheme, I'll be like, hey, buy me an X-Men thing and I'll let you have this one. Because there's no point in just reselling them, I think. But I think that, yeah, I mean, I'm having fun painting them, nonetheless. So, that's basically all I got. So what heroes was I into? I was all about Spider-Man. And everything Spider-Man. That means like Miles Morales, like the second different generation of him. I don't know. Anything Spider-Man because he has the coolest villains. Iron Man because a lot of his original comics dealt with, not original, but there was a good string of comics that really dealt with Tony Stark as a character dealing with alcoholism and things like that, which is something the movies never really broached. So I liked that just because it showed like inner turmoil. And then nothing else to really care about. I want to like the Red Skull, but he kind of I feel like he got shafted in the Avengers movies. Let's see. So I'll put these off to the side. That's what I've been working on. I've been having a great time painting these guys up. And just kind of, I found some YouTube channels where they cover, basically they like read the comic books to you. And it's actually been kind of nice, if I'm honest with you, just because it's one of those things like I'm not going to go out and hunt down all of these things, but it is really nice to hear them and kind of hear about it. So yeah, I'll throw these guys off to the side. I will say, not easy to build, but there are some cool things in here. Like you get this little Daily Bugle building, which I love so much. You get 2 cars, 2 dumpsters, and a few lampposts and stuff like that. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. Anyone see the new version of Justice League? Just watched the first half, and it seems a lot better. I didn't watch either, so I think I might watch it's called the Snyder Cut. Is that what everyone's calling it? I think I might give that a whirl, and just skip the older one. So yeah, So I have actually a thought. I want to throw this out there at Lee Xander because you mentioned that you are a comic book fan. I had pitched this idea to my buddy Dan. I'll throw this up here so I can show off everybody. What if there was a battle report that went and picked up a specific comic issue, right? Like let's say I found a comic that featured Spider-Man versus Doc Ock. I'm just picking on these two because I said they're my favorite. All right, I find a comic where these two are fighting. And then I fill out the actual battle report with as many characters that would be relevant. Obviously, there's only one Spider-Man, but there's other things that I can figure out to do with that. And the villains that make sense, and basically try to play out that issue of a comic book. I think that would be really cool. Because, like, Dang. I think that would be neat if you had a battle report based on a specific comic book for inspiration, and then how else would I do? What else would I do? I don't know. Basically, my photo editor has like a bajillion. It's kind of hard to find like fantasy type stuff, so I'm kind of limited when it comes to AOS. But it has a ton of comic book and action movie and all that kind of stuff effects. So I think there's quite a bit there. We could probably do some fun stuff. Is there a mini for J.J. Jameson? No, he would be OP. He was just like the voice of reason, and then he would just destroy everything. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just open it up here. You guys let me know, what have you been painting? I'm actually going to mix it up today. I don't have a games played kind of thing. And also, this car is kind of cool because it comes with a little taxi thing on top. So if you leave one off, it looks like a normal car versus a taxi. You could do Sinister 6 from Spider-Man, Annual number 1. I'm going to record that because I don't know what any of that means. Gibberish. I haven't read a comic book in so long. Actually, I think the last even remotely comic booky type thing I've read was like Trigun back in way long days. I know it's not quite the same, but... Okay, got that. Where's my chat? Moved everything around. Here we go. I've been dying to ask you, what's with the Sea of Thieves outro in all your recent videos? It's not Sea of Thieves. It's actually just a generic background that I downloaded from my editor suite. But basically, I just wanted something that was chill and calm so that I could put my, like, go check out these other videos things. That's all there is to it. Been building and painting Lumineth. Nice, nice. Let's see. Let me just get my lights sorted back out again. Ugh. Man, I'm just having a rough time with this stupid lamp. Here we go. Who knew a lamp could cause so much trouble? All right, let's see here. Been building and painting Lumineth. Currently, that's awesome. Judas, that's great. Are you going with techless, or are you going to go techless-lessness? Let's see. I've been dying. Okay, I already answered that one. I'm currently painting a Scythes of the Emperor Captain as a gift for a friend, then onto some Judicators with crossbows. What is Scythes of the Emperor? Is that from a specific book? Because I know that, like, what's his bucket? Uriel Ventress, is that the character's name? Has been popular as of late. Oh, it's the window making that shadow. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. I'm painting my Blood Warriors. Ran out of paints, but finally came in yesterday. Sweet. That's awesome. Good luck to you. Question, can you and your opponent have the same hero in the Marvel miniature game? Spider-Man versus Spider-Man? Yes, as far as I understand it. But, I mean, you know, it's the same thing as, like, having Nagash fight Nagash. The idea is just, like, they have to write it off as, like, yeah, it's world's full of imposters. Basically, it's how they do it. That's my understanding. But that's a immersion-breaking thing that exists in any miniatures game because they want to be able to sell the same characters to everybody. And so, I can't fault them for that. But you can't do multiple of the same within your faction. So basically, like, for every character's name, it'll say like Spider-Man, and then below that it'll say Peter Parker. And the way that the game works is whatever their alter ego is, in this case Peter Parker, you can only have one of them. So no matter how many Spider-Mans they come out with, whether it's Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, you know, Multiverse one, whatever like that, as long as they can't be the same alter ego. So that's how they rectify that within your list. I don't think I'm using tech list. I'm mostly going stone people. Good choice. That's what I would do too. Chapter with black armor, yellow chest area, and backpack. No, I'm just not familiar with them. Okay, cool. Just got a Primaris Tech Marine. That kit is sweet. If you have not seen it, it's probably my favorite. It's certainly my favorite of the Primaris heroes. And the reason I say that is because I think the metal arms kind of being all over the place make him look more dynamic than a lot of the Primaris things do. He's a rad kit. Sweet. Well, that's awesome. Painting up some Flesh Eater quartz. Almost done with my Shadow and Pain Daughters of Cain. Nice. Sweet. Question. Do you have multiple versions or sculpts of the same hero with different rules? Yes, actually, they just announced that. The only one I can think of off the top of my head right now is there are 2 different versions of Black Widow. There's like Black Widow and then Black Widow Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. But again, they have the same alter ego, Natasha Romanoff. So you can't field them both at the same time, but there are multiple things. And that's how they kind of get around locking themselves into a single character. Last night, Atomic Mass Games had a big live stream where they chatted about kind of the next wave of releases coming out, and it's all Spider-Man. So like I had like intense amounts of joy and nostalgia. They got like Mysterio, the Lizard Man. Can't remember the other one once. I don't know. But basically they debuted a new version of Spider-Man. So this one is the normal Spider-Man you get in this box set. And the other one is called The Amazing Spider-Man, but it's also Peter Parker. So you have to pick one. But yeah. So that's how they can get around that. And I think it's way better to do that than... because, like the team from Atomic Mass Games comes... It's basically the brightest minds that were at Privateer Press moved over and started a company and kind of got better at business, if I'm perfectly honest with you. It's kind of how I feel about it. And the business side of it is, if you don't know War Machine Hordes, you had like your different like heroes who were leading your army, and they would have different variants. So there would be like, this is I don't know what would make Haley was the name of a character. It's like Captain Haley, and then there would be Haley 1, Haley 2, Haley 3, and they'd all be different and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It was very strange. And this is kind of that same concept where it's like, we don't have to like box a character into a specific thing. We can have different iterations of them, and some might go into like, the multiverse or something like that. So there's a whole bunch of different things. It's pretty cool. I like it. I like it because you can pick... It allows for you to have the character you like, but play in very different ways. So if you are someone who's like, yeah, I like Spider-Man, but I don't like the way that, this specific one is kind of designed to do things, I can kind of do other stuff too. They can make a different Spider-Man has different abilities. So, yep, that's what I would say there. All right, so like I said, I don't have any games played. I am currently kind of studying up for a new army that I have coming in the mail, which I will do a super awesome like unboxing for. So what I'm going to do now is actually move over to checking out the news that came from Games Workshop this week. I pull my favorite articles from the last week, put them in semi-order loosely of how interested I am in them, between like, just keeping everybody up to date on stuff and things that I'm actually super crazy interested in. And so we're going to go check that out. Let's see. Here we are. And we just answer these last questions here before we jump in. And I'll leave some room between each thing to answer questions, that kind of stuff. Do you think Slaaneish's newborn could be Azazel? I don't know who Azazel is, but it seems like it's going to be actually Slaanesh. Is the new army an AOS army? Yes. Yes, it is. Okay. Here we are on the main page. Here we have Sunday preview. I just always do the Sunday preview because so folks can know what's coming up this week. But it's a 40k week again. I will say Dark Eldar are getting some much needed love with this box set. Not just this box set, but also something else we'll talk about later. These dudes here, I have Sisters of Battle versus Dark Eldar, or Drukhari, I believe is the technical term now. And I gotta say, so this is going to become important when I do my surprise army unboxing, right? I had an army of Dark Eldar, and I loved them, but I had to sell them off because I was unemployed at the time, and I've always regretted that. And so I wanted to find something quite like that in AOS, because I don't really play a lot of 40k. I don't want to paint up a whole Drukhari army for that. But anyway, the reason I loved Dark Eldar was this vehicle right here, the Venom. The Venom represents to me everything that is so cool about the faction. Okay, if you don't know, it's this light little speeder thing that has just a bunch of guys hanging off the back of it that are firing pistols. It has like 8 wounds or something. Basically, it's like the It's a dinky little thing that doesn't have a degrading profile. And you just launch it. And it's dirt cheap. And so the idea is, you know, you can just come at your opponent with multiple threats. I mean, that's the whole name of the game there. And so that's why I'm so excited, like, that they're getting like a revival, because, man, that's so cool. It is just so stinking cool. Yeah, the Venom is pretty sweet. Scourges I never got into. I never liked the models. They always stand up way too tall and they get knocked over way too easy. Again, at some point, model designers have to realize these are for a game. So Sisters of Battle are sweet. You know, we have what is that? That's a witch's kit. Yeah, it's definitely not Cabalites. So we got witches, Venom, Scourges, and Lilith Hesperix. Then, of course, Codex Drukari, and this. Okay, I will say this. This is by far the most interesting Combat Patrol box that Games Workshop has put out. If you don't know, instead of doing start collecting boxes like they do for AOS right now, the way that the current edition of 40K is set up, and I love this and I desperately want it in AOS, okay? Instead of, like, the smallest size of game that you can play for 40K is a size called Combat Patrol, where it is literally this. It's based on power level. It's a great place to start for, one, learning the game at a full, and it has full rule sets, full missions, and everything like that. It's a completely supported format. You can do it with your narrative mission. They have their own Path to Glory style thing built into the books, but it actually is fun and works rather than the Path to Glory that AOS has, which is a little bit janky sometimes. So it's incredible. The thing is, the first 3 of these Combat Patrol boxes we got, 3 or 4, were all Space Marines. And I'm going to say it's, you know, like, there's vanilla ice cream, and then there's just white ice cream where there's, like, they didn't even put the vanilla flavoring in it. I feel like that's what those boxes were. Basically how I feel about it. That's all it was. There was nothing, I don't know, nothing super gripping. And then they came out with the Death Guard one, and that one made no sense to me because they just stuffed it with all, like, the cheap, hoardy chaff units instead of, like, actual Death Guard models. But this one, coming with, you essentially get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. Incubi are a melee blender type guy. You have over here Cabalites, which is just a generic, this is their base troop, and then a leader, and you have 2 of these same kits that can build out a few different options as far as, like, weapon platforms and transports and that kind of stuff. And with the way that open top rules work in 40K, these are just like larger Venoms. You throw 10 Cabalites in there, you jam them in the box, and then, or I said in the box like it's a tank or the Rhino or whatever like that, but you put them on these little spaceships and you just hurl them so fast at the enemy. So it's just a really cool box. I think it's the best bang for buck. I think it's going to be, they are a little more expensive than start collecting boxes. I think they usually clock in around $130 or something like that. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. And while people have heard the pushback of, like, yeah, I don't like that the starter products are getting more expensive, and it's like, man, I totally get that. But conversely, right now with AOS, if you buy a start collecting box, there's no supported format to make that a full game other than open play, which 40K has as well. Whereas with this, you buy into it. This is literally an army in a box for a fully supported play system. I think that is such a better way to go. I don't want to buy something and be like, okay, so what else do I need to start? It's like, no. You did start. You know what I mean? I like that. That to me, as a consumer, that's my business model that I would definitely be in favor of. And then also, their next campaign book is coming out, Warzone Charadon. Which sees, I believe it's the Adeptus Mechanicus versus these guys, Death Guard. So anyway, yeah. Also for pre-order this weekend is the Seraphon Warband, which again, we've looked at them before. They just look stunning, right? You have a representation of just about every kind of skink shy of the ones riding pterodactyls. And they do great. That would have been rad. Can you imagine if they had a pterodactyl one in here? Sorry, had to take a shot of water. I I think that would have been too much cool. Would have been cool overload. Now let's see. This is great. So it looks like they have a bunch of like battlefield wide abilities, right? You have +1 to friendly movements. That's awesome. AOS start collectings are pretty good points per dollar, but 40k needs like 2 boxes for some armies to reach 500 points. Yeah, exactly. And so they're different games. I just love the ease of buying a combat patrol box and starting to play. Like that to me, there's no replacement for it. And it's different. It's not even like a game to game thing. It's like a faction to faction thing, because Daughters of Cain is wildly different to start than, say, grabbing the Stormcast Eternal box, where it's like, we can discuss point discrepancies or whatever like that, but the truth of the matter is that Stormcast one has battle line options and all kinds of stuff. You're going to be way more on your way to having an army with that than the other way around with Daughters of Cain. Got some Blood Bowl cards. Now, I have a question for the chat. I have a buddy named Ben over in Virginia, and he has been telling me that he's been playing Blitz Bowl. Can someone explain to me the difference between Blood Bowl and Blitz Bowl? I'm holding off. So if you don't know, one of my incredibly awesome viewers sent me a copy of the current Blood Bowl game, and I have them all built. Just this last week, it's been nice enough to prime, so I'm going to go do that. And I'm kind of holding off because I have a local store that when things reopen here pretty soon, we're all going to do like a slow grow league, like painting and everything included. And so I'm kind of holding off to do that because I want to join them. But I'm just curious to know the difference, because he was saying like Blitz Bowl was super fast, super easy, use fewer models, and it's just a really intense, fun game. It's Skirmish Blood Bowl. That sounds fun. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. Because my other thing with Blood Bowl is I feel like there's just a lot of bookkeeping, but overall the game in terms of silliness and exactly what a war game should be is just up there. So yeah. Hey Hugh. So yeah, moving into the Halflings thing, and then we have Lord of the Rings. What is that? That's Treebeard. Oh, is he just now coming out in plastic? I guess they previewed him. Huh. Okay. For some reason I thought he was already out, but I could be making that up. All right. As well as Plastic Treebeard, you can order a resin model of his fellow Ent Quickbeam from Forge World. Oh, good. That's what I was just looking for, is more resin models named Quickbeam. Adds a new dimension to your Fangorn forces, being able to quickly close on enemies and wreak havoc. Because when I look at this guy, I think aerodynamic. I dig it. We have these guys who look like they belong in Warcry, or the Foot Clan, or whatever they are from Teenage Ninja Turtles. The Dragon Cult... Easterlings. Okay. I was like, what? Nice. They're cool. They look more Age of Sigmar than they do Middle Earth, if I'm honest with you. Just in terms of like the muscle design, that kind of stuff. Interesting. Oh, good. You can have... Oh, they didn't go... So they're dice for the Ents of Fangorn Forest, but they didn't have the stones in them to go full wooden dice like they did for Sylvaneth back in the day. What happened, GW? You changed. What are these legible dice? What? I didn't come here for this. I figure if someone's going to buy dice specifically for a forest-themed army, they're going to want, they're okay with wooden dice. And Black Library books on the horizon. Is there anything for AOS that I want to read? This is the greatest book name ever. Oh, of course it's Josh Reynolds, because he's the best. Man Flayer. I love it. Okay, we're going to move on. That's just what's coming out this weekend. One thing I wanted to talk about, I'm just going to skip down to the photos here, is this. So if you don't know, it was announced this week that Necromunda is getting basically a first-person shooter game. For first real-time action game set within Imperium's most notorious hive city, where you'll hunt down some of the most dangerous bounties around with the only two things you can trust at your side: your guns and your cyber mastiff. I think it's rad. I didn't come here for a good idea. I came here for an awesome idea. Oh man. So yeah, I dig it. How it'll actually play, I don't know. He has a bomb rat in his hand, which is just the best. If you don't know, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, I'm interested in this game quite a bit. I still have to try, is it whatever the Necromunda Underhive or whatever it was video game that came out, because I've heard they've made updates to it, so that's a lot better now. I still haven't gotten around to trying it because Fallout 76 has returned into my good graces. It never did anything to like make me unhappy. I just rediscovered my love for it. So anyway, the reason I extol how much I love Necromunda so much is because 40K as a setting is so big and so vast that like it's just really hard to get a grasp on like the feel of it, because you can't even ask any questions in the Facebook groups without getting blown up with memes about like fascism and stuff like that. You're just like, oh my god, everybody just chill. I just want some information. So Necromunda is great because instead of just trying to swallow the entire setting whole, it's just like a little microcosm, right? And most of these characters that you see will never know about the grand armies and Tyranids and Dark Eldar and all these terrible things going on around them, because this is the day-to-day life. Like, people talk about wanting day-to-day life of AOS characters. I agree with them. I think it would be super cool. Also, this is what that looks like in 40K, and it's terrifying, and it's gritty and dark, and I love it. It's this dark tech fantasy. I think it's honestly, the old art for Necromunda, I think beats anything that 40K has done in the last 10 years. I'm just going to throw it out there. Boom. That's my dunk from the free throw line shot right there across the bow. Jamie just got green stuff for the first time. Was wondering if there's anything I can make out of it that's not too hard. Honestly, I don't really play with green stuff. I'm not quite the person to ask. I use it for filling gaps, and that is it. And if that. I guess the only thing I can think of is I did get some rollers from Green Stuff World to make bases, and that's it. But that wasn't a whole lot. I'm sorry, I'm not a true hobbyist. I don't do all the things. Anyway, so I'm excited for this game. Am I going to pre-order it? Nope. I did that with the other Necromunda game, and I was a little bit bummed. So no more pre-orders, but whatever. All right, so one final warband joins the Warhammer Underworlds Season 4 roadmap. First of all, we got to talk this guy. I love him. He is so cool. Like, he looks like something walking out of Silent Hill with like, because it's not just him in that you can see the skull that was like morphed and woven into his form. It's the tabard made of flesh. It's the jewelry hanging from his necklace. Like, I just imagine when I try to think of like how cool some of these characters are, I imagine what if it was walking towards you, right? And like, you wouldn't hear any breathing. It would be utterly silent. You would just hear big footsteps and the jingling of these things on his neck, but like it'd be tink, 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 like a little wind chime kind of thing off of his armor. There's nothing soft on him except for like his flesh cloak. So yeah, I'm good. Let's see. Steven, I'm still waiting for Stormground to show gameplay. Me too, buddy. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Watch, it's going to be like a text-based adventure game. Throw baby. Anyway, that's a deep cut for anyone from my generation. So, yeah, I like him quite a bit. I think he's really cool. I love the symbols. I love the way his armor looks. I love that he has one arm, like one shoulder covered and the other one's not. I don't know why, for some reason. I just always like that. All my Fallout characters, they all have that. I think it looks so cool. And then we have our roadmap, which, as far as I know, is still accurate, right? Because it is March. Yep. Okay. So then we have next month vampires, then the bone splitters, our Ossiarch dudes, and then there's this last thing. Okay, now to me that is clearly an Idnith Deepkin symbol. Oh wow, this music's a little too calm. I wanted calm, not like melt into the universe. There we go. But as far as like what this last one is, I don't know, because it looks like, okay, some sea wreckage with some parts of the bow coming up, looks just like a Deepkin boat, but then I cannot make out what this is supposed to be. And I love the idea of it being, you know, a creature rather than like a strange image of like some Deepkin guy, like a cloak or something like that on from the side. I love the idea that it's like a fish, because that's the thing is, as much as I do like the Deepkin, I do wish that there were more actual fish. So a manta ray, ooh, Stephen Grimm, that might be the best thing ever. It's a mix of a piranha and a flying fish. That'd be cool too. Yeah, I can tell it's a fish. I mean, there's obviously, you got wings here, you got a little tail and a mouth. I'm just curious as to like what angle it's at, because it could look a little bit different based on its silhouette depending on the angle. But I want more monsters, right? Like the Alopex is to me the coolest thing ever. Yeah, I don't know. Instead of just being people who are around fish, I want fish elves. We'll move on to the next thing here. And this one, I'll be honest with you, I don't typically read the meta watches, okay? But here's the thing. This guy's my hero, first of all. But secondly, this article was written by a combination of, I believe it's Dan from AOS Shorts, and my boy, Anthony, or AOS Coach. So I'll be honest with you, I read the highlights of this, and it's just a great article about how to play as Sons of Behemat, and then how to play against them if you don't know what's coming. Because, fun fact, if you walk up to the table having never learned anything about Sons of Behemat except for, oh, there's only like 9 models in the entire army, you're gonna get wrecked. Like, because they can do things that manipulate the game. Like, if you are not actively conscious of what they can do when it comes to moving objectives and how many dudes they each count as when they're claiming an objective, like, you're gonna have a bad time. So it's a wonderfully written article. There are some great photos to accompany it. I think that I'm gonna say not Games Workshop, but the entire crew involved, right? Anthony, Dan, and the editing team who put this together, because it's not necessarily Games Workshop proper. It's like, you know, an article writer, an editor who put this together to have like the art match what's being described and great pull quotes. Honestly, I love this stuff because it's just like the best of community stuff mixing with the company that they're passionate about, right? Like, this is the stuff that I love. Anytime Games Workshop reaches out and works with other folks, especially content creators, you know, like AOS Coach, AOS Shorts, those kinds of things, it's just, I think it's a win. So let's see. Yeah, basically walking through the abilities that make those synergies happen. These are by far the coolest tattoos I have ever seen on a model. I love them quite a bit. This guy in the back here with the like Hydra looking thing going up his back, super cool. But yeah, so yeah, there's Dan. For some reason I thought they were like, their stuff was like mingled together, but no, I think Anthony's talking about, yeah, because they talked about how you do well, and then Dan's talking about how you beat them. So, and you know what? This is a perfect picture to sum up how you beat Sons of Behemat. Just a whole bunch of big stabbers. That's so rude. I believe, you know how like a bunch of, ravens are a murder and eggs are in a dozen and that kind of stuff, bushel of apples. I think a flustercluck of Big Stabbers is what it's called. That's the pluralization. Let's see. Oh yeah. These dudes, they can just pour dice. If you don't know, the I almost said the Yanari. The Lumineth cavalry can just let you drop a bucket of dice on somebody. There's all kinds of stuff. Murder of crows. Thank you. So yeah, I don't know. It's all cool stuff. Yeah, endless spells like Prismatic Palisade, Suffocating Gravetide, and Runic Firewall can also be effective. Yeah, because you just have to keep them away. I don't know. I'll let you guys read it. There's some wonderful things here about the faction. I feel like when it dropped, there was just a lot of people going like, "Oh, that's it." But the truth is, like, there is a lot of gameplay involved with them, even if there's not a lot of models or units per se. So, let me take a hit of water here. There we go. Cleona Zeitengale foresaw the cursed city's fall. Shame that everyone ignored her. This is the character that I said was my favorite in terms of the ones that I'm most excited to paint and play. And I would love to read this to you. So, things have been looking bleak in the Cursed City over the last couple of weeks as we introduced the depraved scientist Torgilius the Chamberlain, the Dead Walker zombies, and worst of all, Radjikar the Wolf. Fortunately, we have a new hero to reveal today, and she's bringing the might of Sigmar herself with her. Hashtag get it, girl. Okay, Cleona Zeitengale is a member of the Cult of the Comet, and originally came to Ulfenkarn to spread the teachings of her missionary order. That's awesome. The citizens of Ulfenkarn ignored those teachings and continued to disregard the Cometarian cult, and when they tried to warn of the coming of the Great Cataclysm. Spoiler alert, the Cataclysm came. Of course, Cleona is too classy to say I told you so, and is instead mustering all of her energy to clear the curse of the undead. She's a nice lady. I like it. I love this model. I love that, I think I mentioned this before, I love her pose where she's clearly like a priestess type thing, you know, not a fighter, but she looks like she's mid-casting spell. I do think that having the glowing hand and staff, yeah, I like it, because it makes it seem like she's in the action pose. I don't know, everything about it is so cool. It looks like something straight out of Hish, but also, you know, she's a devotee of Sigmar, and I dig it. With the ability to summon blasts from the heavens when her anger is roused. Note here, we recommend standing behind her when she does this. We do trust Cleona, but she is wearing a blindfold. She's determined to prove that the power of Sigmar can triumph over the vampiric scions of Nagash. For the sake of the people of Ulfenkarn, we hope she's right. We still have a lot of Warhammer Quest Currency to show off, and then it says, you know, sign up for our newsletter. Anyway, we already reviewed the model, but I really do like this quite a bit. Yeah, she's my pick. Hopefully this week I'll be able to finalize the last things I have to do with playing Silver Tower, and so she's the character I'm most excited to play with Cursed City, to be honest with you. Faux show. Let's see. And then they make an article here. This is going to be our last one for the day. It says, you can use all of the Cursed City models in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Now, I kind of already figured this, but it's good that they just said it. You know, I mean, I kind of assumed it because there is a book full of war scrolls in Cursed City. But yeah, you've met Radjikar the Wolf, the evil vampire overlord of Ulfenkarn, and some of the heroes seeking to drive him from the Cursed City. Every model that comes in the new Warhammer Quest box set will also have a war scroll for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, so they can take their feud beyond the city walls. Here's a sneak peek at some of our favorite rules. Okay. So, Jelson Daruk. This is our first guy, Witch Hunter Extraordinaire, former Azurite Priest, and then, or I guess Inquisitor, something like that. He worked for the church, and then he got ousted for being a little bit too intense. The mysterious vampire hunter Jelson Daruk is happy to hunt down the undead anywhere across the mortal realms. Well, he's never exactly happy, but as the old saying goes, has stakes will travel. I like it. Enemies of the cities of Sigmar will face Jensen's judgment when he uses his signature weapon, Judgment. Wow, that was clever. Okay, so this gun that he's rocking, 18-inch gun, 1 attack, 3 to hit, and then everything else is see below. If an attack made with judgment scores a hit, the attack sequence ends and you must roll a dice. If the roll is at least double the target's wound characteristic, one model from that unit is slain after all this model's attacks have been resolved. If the roll is less than double the target's wounds, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound after all the model's attacks have been resolved. After all of this model, I don't think that is super interesting. So you have an 18-inch gun, you take a shot on a 3-up. Let's say you're shooting, well, a 1 wound model, so on a 2-up you would kill a dude instantly. So it would so it's bypassing their save essentially, right? So that could be good, especially on tankier models. I guess the thing is you have to double it. And doubling gets real difficult because even on like a Chaos Warrior, his functional profile is a 3-up, 4-up, right? Because you want to have a 4-up to just kill the guy. And then brutes, are brutes 3 wounds? Whatever a 3-wound unit is, you know, it gets rough. If it was more attacks and it capped out at like 2 wound models, I'd be cooler with that. But I do like it. So he's a very cool, I think will be used for conversions more than actually his self, which I think is perfectly fair. Oh, man. Let's see. Oh, Lazy Bum in the chat. Lots of sexy models, but I'm kind of disappointed in these zombies, to be honest. One with a gravestone on its back would be cool, but all of them is just too samey. I tend to agree with you. However, I have a strong suspicion that tomorrow, during their reveal, they might show us some zombies, like a fuller kit that those would kind of mix into. That's my hope anyway. Next we have Octrin Grimscry. He's wearing a death mask and he's like this old crazy death mage. He's on his own little adventure for vengeance. Let's see. If there were any doctors left in Ulfenkarn, they would probably warn Octrin about venturing too far out of the city and fighting in too many battles due to his age. Fortunately, the doctors left about the same time that the Deadwalker zombies showed up. Who needs a doctor when the dead can still walk? Plus, Octrin can unleash a writhing hex, which should be more than enough to keep him safe. So he has a spell, Withering Hex, casting value 6. If cast, pick one enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. All right. In addition, for the rest of the battle, that unit is affected by Octrin's Hex. Subtract 1 inch from the move characteristic of the units affected by Octrin's Hex. Okay, so he does D3 mortal wounds and then subtracts 1 from their movement characteristic. I mean, that's not bad. If he can stay alive, long enough to do it like a couple times, when you get into the late game, yeah. I'm curious as to where, we know the other guy said he's a Sigmar, but I'm curious about where he will be. Let's see. Will says, Doug, have you got or are you getting White Dwarf 462? I just actually grabbed it yesterday, but I haven't read it yet. There's a great short story of Van Brecht on the run from Marathi's troops. Ooh, I'm excited to read that. I'll check it out. Thank you so much, Will. Gorslav the Grave Keeper. Again, no indication of what faction he's a part of. We get introduced to his weapon, the spade. 2 inch range, 3 attacks, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, -1 rend, D3 damage. Super, to me, uninteresting because it's like the old man staff that every wizard has, right? 4 up, 3 up, -1, D3. That's it. I guess the only thing different about him is he has range 2. But yeah, interesting. Jamie, do you think it'll be good to get Curse City for my Death Army? If you specifically just want it for a Death Army, I would hold off because we don't have any context for these things in terms of points or what faction any of the death stuff's can be a part of, like what their keywords are. So I can't answer that, and if someone says they can, be dubious about it. Trust nothing until you have it in your hands. That's my opinion. It's also why I don't get disappointed when I order things. Let's see. To be fair, the Gravekeeper does still use it as a spade when he's digging up plenty of dead walkers to join his horde of the undead. Roll a dice before you allocate a wound or a mortal wound to this model if it's within 3 inches of a friendly zombie unit. On a 4-up, that wound or mortal wound must be allocated to one of those units instead of this model. I will be honest with you, I wish more things had this rule, because I love the epic hero clashes in AOS, but I feel like a lot of times they don't happen because so many heroes get deleted off the board before they can really make it into melee, you know, and they don't have those epic, you know, general versus general fighting moments. So I'm all about this. I love this as a rule. I love it whenever they have Underworlds warbands that have it, you know, so the character can actually do stuff. Super good. And yes, in this picture there are only the zombies from the set, but again, it's a Cursed City article. It's not an AOS one. But there was like a preview silhouette thing. Let's see. That had like zombie looking stuff. I think that they're going to have like wood and like tree limbs coming out of them, but I don't think they're all bent over with tombstones and junk. Let's see. Just threw down $200 on books at my local game store. Wow. Told the owner I'll be the first person to pre-order Bellicor. So $200. What was that, like $4 or $5? Nice on you. It could be more or less. I don't know. But yeah, Bellicor is gonna be exciting. I'm so surprised they announced Bellicor before even releasing the Techless one, to be honest with you. When a vampire can know... Oh, what's this thing called? The Vargskiers? When a vampire can no longer control its feral urges, it can turn into a monstrous Vargskier. While it might not be the traditional noble and fashionable vampire archetype, it's still a nightmarish creature for anyone it faces on the battlefield. Thanks to its bounding leaps, a Vargskier can swiftly dispatch foes with its talons and gaping maw. You can attempt to charge with this model if it's within 18 inches of the enemy instead of 12. Roll 3d6 instead of 2d6 when making the charge roll. So they just took prosecutors and made them way cooler. What if these guys were like sexy? Yeah, and then they made a giant monster that just has a nasty maw. I love it. I love it. Trying to decide if you want Sylvaneth or Gloomspite. I don't. I'm just gonna say this because I don't know you and what you're interested into. Skippington. Neither are highly competitive, but both can be tons of fun. The Sylvaneth, it requires you to buy terrain, so if that's a problem for you, so think about that beforehand. And Gloomspite requires a lot of models, so either one, they both have pros and cons. Yeah, it just depends on what you want out of your game and which models you like. I'd say Gloomspite's probably easier to get into at this point. There's a lot of boxes that have great things for squigs and stuff. But yeah. And that is it for the news. So that is about all I got for us today with the news. Let me get my light adjusted here so we can do some painting. I'm just going to throw some paint on these cars here. Nothing fancy, because I don't have a ton of time. But I wanted to make sure I got an episode out today. Let's see. Here we go. And I'll move the chat to where I can see it. Oh, I'm not hanging up yet. Let's see. So we got these guys. So that was the news. I will open this up. Is there a specific news item anybody wanted to talk about before I dive into, chatting about my main topic for the day, which is what I like about my Crisis Protocol compared to Warcry. I don't know why my brain is just skipping today. Rough one, apparently. Hey, when's the next Soulbound video? It is going to be coming out this week. We're going to be taking a look at the Caradron Overlords. I'm excited about it. That was a fun one to write. I do like the Soulbound videos because it gives me an excuse to re-explore some of the very basic lore of the factions, rather than you know, I feel like I don't want to repeat myself a ton when it comes to like the main AOS videos that I do. But it's real nice when I can just be like, hey, check this out. It's really nice. So yeah, it'll be this week. And I'll get the chance to reintroduce folks to it. And yeah, I'm just doing some dry brushing here, nothing too fancy. Doug, you see the silhouette potentially in OBR Archer? I'm worried that AOS is turning into a mirror of 40k rather than more combat, which it used to be. Oh, like you're worried about like shooting becoming the dominant thing? I mean, man, it already is. I don't know what to tell you. If you go to if you look at some of the tournament results that were going on before lockdown, like shooting is kind of where it's at. In a lot of respects. It's not my jam. My jam is incredibly fast, aggressive melee. But it generally seems like the way to go if you want to... If you're looking to win a thing, is a lot of shooting. Now, what that means for you at your local scene might be very different, you know? I mean, like, the only guy here locally that I really played against with full games of AOS, he does, like, Beast of Chaos, which is, like... There's hardly a gun in that entire faction, but yeah. Gotta ask Doug, which faction has sedans? Oh, that's gonna be the Soccer Mom protocol, specifically. Let's see. If it's OBR, they're gonna get even better. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely OBR. Just the shape of the actual weapon. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't really care. Like, if somebody wants to take nothing but the craziest awesome guns and just delete me off the table, I'm like, cool. I'm free to go get a drink now. My brain just kind of turns off because it's just like this, you know, it's one of those things. It's just not why I play the game. And I don't know. If somebody wants to have a shooting meta and that kind of stuff and just blow it so they're off the table, you know, it's like whatever. Okay, you won the game. Feel good. Take your W. I'm gonna go hang out with people that are more like-minded. And that's all you have to do. Bad Moon's Fancy Moms. It's a new Imperial Fist tank. Oh man, that'd be rad. Imperial Fist rolled up in a Soccer Mom mobile. Oh yeah, dude. He's gonna look kind of grimy and kind of gross. I want to have like a little bit of a sketchiness to them. That's why I'm doing dry brushing rather than like a bajillion layers. Orc player, what is shooting? I don't know, man. Orcs in 40k, they got guns for days. Question: How does Soulbound retire? You die. That's it. That's the only way. You can choose to retire your character, become an NPC. Oh, I'm sorry. You were asking, like, you mean from a game perspective? Yeah, you can just have them go on, do something else. How does a Soulbound retire? You can choose to retire your character, who becomes an NPC under the GM's control. Yeah, so what are you asking then? Because it sounds like you answered it. I'm not sure of your question there, buddy. I'm sorry. Yes, mechanically within the game, that's how you stop using a Soulbound. But much like the Daughters of Cain, they have a terrible retirement plan. Everyone just dies. Karen Overseer would be mad strong. I love it. Oh man. Yeah, okay, so moving on to Marvel Crisis Protocol. So, if you don't know, I'm going to explain a few things about the game, and I'm going to compare them into what I like about it versus, say, Warcry. Okay, so in Games Workshop games, you paint your models, you build your list, and you show up to the game night. And because of the nature of I go, you go games, and this is a big problem in 40K, although they're trying to address it, I know they are, is whoever gets first turn has a chance to just delete half of their opponent's army before the game ever really starts. Right? It's just what it is. And that's a real bummer. To me, again, the whole point is you have fun building, painting these toys, and then you have a game together, and everyone should be allowed to at least have a good time using their cool toys. And so that is a huge, huge bummer to me. Paint models are supposed to be great. The reason that I was reading through my Marvel Crisis Protocol is something interesting. So, in Warcry, you have these special dice where you can spend them as a resource to do special abilities, and that's in addition to the 2 actions that your guys get to make. Sorry, let's go back. So, yeah, the dice are kind of your limiting factor. In Marvel Crisis Protocol, it's a bit different because your currency that you use to do cool abilities and stuff it's just called power, which is just not very imaginative, but it is what it is. And you gain 1 per turn, no matter what. Everybody gets a power. But in addition, and this is the important one, every time you receive damage, you get power equal to how much damage you receive. So if you get hit for 3, you get 3 power. If your guy hasn't gone yet, that means he got 1 for free just for showing up that round. It means he starts his turn with 4 power. What I'm saying is, it is possible to remove models I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the chat here, guys, talking about paint and stuff. So to me, I guess the thing is like in Warcry, models only lose wounds, but in Crisis Protocol, they gain opportunity when they get hurt. And that's an interesting, I don't know, it's an interesting place to be. Because, let's see that. We're gonna make this car. We're gonna paint it gray, but like in a fun way. Okay, here we go. But yeah, it increases opportunities. The idea is that, like, as you know, these epic champions and villains are getting beaten down, their resolve or sheer unwillingness to, you know, submit or whatever like that comes to the fore, and they fight even harder, and that's why they gain power. And I like that too much. Why is there still yellow? My God. I have this brush cleaner, and this is not helping me. Here we go. And I like that quite a bit, because what that means is as you're on the surface level losing, you're actually you are also gaining opportunity to come back even harder, and I think that is probably what more war games need to do, because again, yeah, like the whole point, you show up and just play with your toys. Like I don't know how else to say it. You show up, play with toys, you kick butt, you live, laugh, love, you go home. That's basically it. Just throwing down some of that nice gray. And this is just to kind of even all the grays out. It's not so much that I actually have to paint it. Not even sure it shows up to you guys. But yeah, so it becomes very interesting. Now, as far as is the game thematic, that was actually kind of my number one concern, because you can't create your own hero in any way, shape, or form. I was like, am I going to feel hamstrung or boxed into like a specific narrative or something like that? And the way that it was explained to me by my buddy Tectonic Crafts Dan was like, you know, maybe on a game level, it's not like the most narrative, but on a individual model level, it absolutely is. And that's been a really interesting thing for me to think about that way, because like maybe every matchup that has, you know, these specific heroes or whatever fighting together on the same side or against each other, maybe that isn't something you necessarily read about in a comic book. But when it comes to the model per model basis, like Spider-Man here acts like Spider-Man, and that's cool. He can like throw things and smash stuff up. When he gets injured enough, Iron Man can do the Unibeam. All kinds of cool things. In AOS, I've still lost more than half my army first turn. I was Tzeentch and they had Khorne, the greater demon that explodes mortal wounds on 6s. Everything around it. Control, Alt, Delete. Yep. And I'll be honest with you, the more I learn about... I'll be honest with you guys, okay? I love the Age of Sigmar setting. It is not my favorite game. And for reasons like that, is those things do happen, you know? And does it suck? Yep. Don't know what to tell you. It just does. Man, this just does not seem right. I feel like there's still yellow in this brush. I need to like alcohol clean that before I can use it again. That's a real bummer. Okay, I'm just gonna move on to the other car. We'll move forward with that. Let me get my null oil. But yeah, so I part of that game design that I've been learning about is just actually I don't want to do that. I want to do Agrax. Is the idea of just having opportunity. Now, I will say that Crisis Protocol, it is still a very objective-based game. You need to go to X place, control X thing, that kind of stuff, and you know, for that, it's pretty in line with a lot of different existing games that are out there. But on the whole, I find it to be extremely fun looking. I'm going to be hopefully getting my first games in this week. Also, on Monday, I'm doing a few back-to-back Star Wars Legion games. So I like it quite a bit. I'm excited. I'm excited to try all the different things that are out there. Game-wise, anyway. Let's see. I decided to paint my Khorne Blood Warriors and heroes with gray skin. Do you have any ideas, lore-wise, why it's gray? Whatever reason, you make it up. I feel like the conversation you just put forward was, I made a decision. Doug, justify it for me. I'm like, no, dude, that's yours. I mean, I think it's cool. I'm not going to tell you why they have gray skin. Why'd you give them gray skin? That's the answer. Oh, man. Okay, just doing the outlines on these guys. I wanted to actually learn how to do like the painting where you make, it's not cell shading, but it's the closest thing you can do, where it looks like it's from a comic book. There was a guy on Reddit a long time ago who did a bunch of that stuff with his Tau, and it looked incredible. They're from Shyish. Done. Doug, the power mechanic seems like you'd enjoy Blades of Khorne. Come embrace the cozy hug. That's the thing. I've thought about Khorne quite a bit, actually. And I definitely will do one eventually, a Khorne army. Just because quite frankly, I like their lore, their champions. It's all very straightforward and cool. Yeah. It's not what I have planned right now, but eventually, yes. I will have me some corn. Let's see. God of War inspired Ashes of the Dead People. There you go. There's some great ones. I posted a poll in the largest AOS group asking what armies people play. The most competitive armies are the least armies played. Yep, I can see that. Even no matter what the sample size is, because that's the thing. And it was actually brought up by the guys over on Warhammer Weekly, and it was a point that really stuck with me. Was they were talking about Daughters of Cain before they got this is months and months and months ago, so I don't even remember when it was. But they were basically talking about how, you know, the old Daughters of Cain epic win streak, it never really went away. Like nothing changed to make them worse. It's just the people playing them got bored, right? They were just like, I'm not having fun. My opponents aren't having fun with my 10 billion witches that never take wounds and that kind of stuff. And so people stopped playing it. And it's just like, we have to remember that when we talk about competitive folks in the competitive scene, like they're still gamers. Like they still want to have fun and a challenge and that kind of stuff. Like, no matter how competitive you are, you know, it's like the Twilight Zone episode where guy goes to his personal heaven and it's like a casino and he's winning every time. It's like, oh, this is no fun. Like, yeah, well, yeah, that's kind of what it is. But it also, I think, equally as importantly, when people start freaking out about the power level of the game and Games Workshop's terrible at balancing things, it's like, get some perspective. Most of the time people don't play those things, if I'm honest. Sometimes most competitive armies are also broken. Well, you know, but here's my thing about that, Laserbum. There's a difference between saying, I refuse to play against your broken-ass, overpowered army, which is what you just put in the chat, and saying, I don't want to play against the way that you're playing them. For example, like we talked about this a long time ago when I was living in Seattle. There's a bunch of folks talking about doing a Path to Glory. And one person was like, oh, I want to do a Path to Glory because I'm really into this. And he pointed at Flesh Eater Courts. This is someone who has no idea about this freaking game. I've been told that metallics don't work super well with the wet palettes. I'm going to use an old one here. But so that's the kind of thing where it's like common sense is required that this person's not being a power gamer. They just saw a zombie dragon and were like, hell yeah. Which, you know, admittedly, zombie dragon, hell yeah. You know, can't argue that one. But it gets to a point where it's like, I don't want to live play in a space where certain armies have a stigma to them, because that's crummy, because that's not fair. Certainly the people who, you know, if we want to have fun narrative stuff, I guess what I'm saying, if I'm just going to put it really bluntly, is I don't care for the attitude of I'm not going to play against that broken army, because when Bone Splitters, the first battle tome they ever had, came out, I got onto them, and they had this battalion called the Kundenruck, which at the time was like the strongest thing around, and it was super good, super time consuming, and quite miserable to play against. And someone told me that, like, I wasn't running the Kundenruck, I wasn't doing any of that, but they said they wouldn't play against my broken army. So that's why I'm not really in favor of that. I don't like the idea of banning armies. Nothing like that. Because I was that guy. And it's crappy. I guess, you know, if I'm being honest, I think the bigger issue is I think people just want something from Games Workshop that they've never asked, that they've never offered, which is a balanced game. If game balance is the make or break thing for you, and some armies are so badly, you know, over designed, let's say that you refuse to play against them, it's like, well, what got you into this hobby in the first place? And I don't mean that accusatorily, like, why don't you just get out? I mean, like, legitimately, like, okay, well, I don't think this game has been balanced ever. So what hooked you? Let's see. Beast of Chaos. Which faction do you think has the least time in the sun? Oh yeah, I would definitely agree. I think Beast of Chaos. I also think that they have some of the best lore. And honestly, I was talking about this with my friends. I was just like, it's actually the faction that I have done the best with. Just unmitigated speed and aggression, straightforwardness. They're good. I like Beast of Chaos. Internally, it's a very poorly balanced book because like the Zangor stuff tends to just be flat better for no reason. But I think that was a lot of learning. Okay, what is it like when we have the same units in 2 books? You know, meaning the Zangor stuff for Tzeentch as well as Beast of Chaos. But I'm sure at some point they'll get a new book because now they have Slangor to add. Hopefully they can do something cool with them. I don't know what NPE means. Sorry, Steven. I get the same thing with Tzeentch being called a power gamer or a glory chaser. My list is made of screamers. Oh, David, that sounds amazing. I would love to play against that. Oh, that sounds rad. A whole bunch of screamers. Oh, I'm on board. Because I definitely, when, is it Wrath of the Everchosen? Is that the one that has like the list that's just a whole bunch, a ton of screamers? I love it. Or it might just be a subfaction in the book. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of those, but like, yeah, no, the screamer spam thing where you can like bring them onto the board and stuff. It sounds so cool. And that's honestly like, oh, okay. Let me take you on a journey into Doug's mind and share with you how I've grown as a person. Okay. I used to become very upset when other content creators, and I'll just, there was many, but I will just say for the purpose of clarity, Honest Wargamer is definitely one of them all the time, where a book would come out and the decision would be made immediately, like this is a good book or this is garbage. And I was always against that because it's like, the book is probably fine. It's just that 1 or 2 factions are way out of whack, right? Because like, when we talk about, you know, even at its worst, when Flesh Eater Courts was at its most egregious, it wasn't Flesh Eater Courts, it was Gristlegore. There's a, you know what I mean? And that difference is hard to communicate for people who don't know a ton about the faction. And so, man, that's rough. I just never, there's just not a good way to like talk about the game or how, you know, if you want to have organized events and that kind of stuff, it gets really difficult. And so I've definitely, the reason I bring up the fact that you know, this is stuff that I've learned over time is just like, I don't know what the more competitive folks frankly get out of the game, if I'm honest with you. I know that it's a great community of guys. So if it's just the camaraderie, I totally get that. But as far as like, I don't know, I feel like I can't look at it back in time and say like, this is a point in time where Games Workshop was really on top of game balance. So I just don't understand. So I guess it's a failure to communicate on my end of just, I don't know what brings them to the game. I'm glad they're here, and they seem to be making people happy. The Mind of Doug should be a movie. No. It would just be probably just very sad. And then learning the same lessons over and over again. Like, I feel like he's learned the power of friendship 18 times now. Well, he needs to learn at least once more. Let's see. Well, losing is always a stake while playing a game. Imagine if the odds are 3-1 and you still win. That just proves your strategic superiority. Yeah, but that's the thing, is I'm not interested. Like, I don't play these games to prove my prowess. You know, I'm not like, the army passed me up because of my unmitigated hemorrhoids, and now I still need to be able to prove to the world that I have incredible battle prowess. It's like, no, man. I don't know. I guess what I really wanted to get at was that most of the time, the people that I was guilty of thinking or win at all costs kinds of people actually weren't. They were actually really cool people who just think of the game very differently. And I'm coming around to that, you know, and that's friendships like both the guys at Warhammer Weekly and that kind of stuff have really opened my eyes to that. And I do appreciate it. That's why I appreciate them so much. Is one, they put up with my jesting and jabbing about how Age of Sigmar will never be balanced. But also, apropos of nothing, they also, you know, are just really cool people who talk just as much about, like, getting to see everybody again as much as they do competitive stuff. I'm like, okay, so, like, you do care. Let's see. It's no car, it's an Imperial Fist tank. It's exactly right. The Subaruicus Outbackus, whatever the weird not Latin version of this would be for 40k. I do feel like, ooh, do I think that? I'm trying to think of what Primarch would be most likely to drive a Prius. Having a tough time. But yeah, I don't know. Those guys are all super awesome, and I'm learning as a person not to lump like, oh yeah, competitive players are like blank, you know, because it's just not true. It's not true. People are too diverse, and that's just something I've been learning in the last like month or two, really, when it comes to this hobby. And quite frankly, it's partially why I kind of have distanced myself largely from many other content creators, because we're just not on the same page. You know, people, I've had someone comment like, how come you never have guests on, you don't do collaborations? It's like, I love hanging out with people, but I find many times other content creators are more focused on the game, and I'm very much more focused on the person across from the table. You know, like, could not care less if the game is balanced. It's not about that. It's about building cool models and painting stuff and playing with your buddies and that kind of stuff. So there's not a wrong way or a right way. Vulcan would drive a Prius. Oh yeah, he probably would. I forgot about Vulcan. I always forget about Vulcan. Alright. If you play Marauder spam, you win at all costs. But see, but even in that, I don't know. Like, I understand what you're saying. Totally respect it. Also, I do know people who thematically love the idea of Marauder Hordes, and were playing it long before they got good. Because they've always been like a cool, like cheap option, and then this last battle tome they just went berserk, and that's not necessarily on someone. Now, if you drop everything and go buy a whole bunch of them for that specific reason, that's a little different. I don't know. But even then, even if you are a win-at-all-cost player, the hell do I care? You're going to beat me round one, you're going to go up the ranks of the thing, and I never have to deal with it. That's it. That's how I care about these things. I actually had a local guy, so I am... You wouldn't know it because I haven't played any games in it, but I am supposedly a part of a league here for Star Wars Legion. And here we go. My buddy was like, I'm kind of nervous about the Legion thing because I think that they, you know, I'm not going to be able to play at their level, and he got all nervous. And I said, like, listen, here's what's going to happen. Like, he's a competitive guy, narrative guy like me. He's like, you're gonna show up, you're gonna get your teeth kicked in for 2 games, and then you're gonna be at the bottom rung of the barrel like me, and we're just gonna have a wonderful time. And that's exactly what's happening. He was like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. I was like, yeah, that's all that happens. That's what happens when I go to events. It's great. Some guy comes and kicks your teeth in, and you go, wow, wunderbar, and then everything's fine. And if you beat that guy, be nice about it so that they don't have anxiety next time they come to an event. And then you'll probably get your teeth kicked in next time. I think the only time that wasn't true was I was playing against Jack. And I meant to do silver on this one. I was playing against Jack in the final round of an event because I didn't realize that I had one. Oh, sorry, there's a train going by, everybody. I didn't realize that I had won my first 2 games, and then, like I said, my next opponent was Jack, and I was like, that's weird. I was like, oh yeah, actually we're playing like for the win. I was like, oh crap. I did too good. When teaching someone how to play, I take it very easy. Play fun stuff that usually doesn't work. Absolutely. That's exactly how you do it. Is it Caseman? I'm sorry. Animations. Hey, Doug. The same way you reference an AOS games balance. That's why you struggle with Tabletop Simulator. Absolutely. And that's, honestly, I have nothing against Tabletop Simulator. Someone put forward the notion that I didn't like it. I don't know why. I don't really know what their argument was, but it's like, no, I don't mind it. It's just, it's not why I play the game. You know what I mean? Like I want the camaraderie aspect and all that kind of stuff. Like that's what I'm here for. Take some yellow. This is Flash Gets Yellow as opposed to Avalorn Sunset down here. There we go. Winning is not important as much as just having a good time, but I know the guys rolling for the meta. Trade armies, get to top tier, and then dump it when it's not winning. Yeah, and then people like me are there to scrape up that army when it's sold off at a meager sum and be like, now, I am the keeper of secrets with my Slanesh army now that everyone's abandoning ship on that. Or they could be like Vince, just collect if not hoard them in his closet, and then the meta rolls back around, he's like, oh, I got this. I play Stormcast Journal's Vanguard and Nighthaunt. I wouldn't say they're the most competitive list. No, not at all, but aren't they fun? Some of that Vanguard stuff is really cool. The only thing about the Vanguard thing that makes me sad is that they can't... The Griff Chargers can't charge after they teleport. Which I get in theory, but they don't do enough damage to be scary on the charge. Like, I totally get the idea behind it of just like, yeah, we don't want them to be able to move and be that aggressive, but it's like, man, they gots to. The way to beat the meta is to just have every army. Exactly. I bet on all the horses, so I always win. I don't know. I would love to, because, you know, I have these old white dwarfs, right? And it shows, you know, guys having fun in the tournament scene long before I got into the hobby. And part of me wishes I could go back in time just to be a fly on the wall and figure out, like, specifically why people enjoyed those events so much, because it looks like they're having a freaking blast. And I just want to know, like, are things the same? Were they always the same? Were they always meta chasers? And that, you know, I think was the term someone used. Was it always here? I think so. I think anytime there's a winner to a game, people will be like, and who will be the winner of that game? Question, is there an army in AOS at the moment? Donald, I don't think I understand your question. That in breaches the nightly charge in your eyes. Donald, can you retype that? Maybe your autocorrect got you or something. Something about is there an army that I think represents a nightly charge? Let's see. Embodies? Oh, that embodies the nightly charge. I mean, honestly, Deepkin Eels. That's some real aggressive charging if that's what you want. Beyond that, I don't know. I mean, you specifically want them to be like nightly. Because that's the thing. There are great armies that do cavalry well. You know, like I would say Ironjaws do fantastic cavalry. But it's not the same thing as, you know, nightliness, of course. I mean, you can put something together with Cities of Sigmar specifically, because they do still have Demigryph Knights, and the the General on Griffin or whatever he is. So that's definitely doable there. I'm trying to think of other ones that might be a little bit, I don't know, more hidden around. Please make some nightly orcs. Oh, that'd be amazing. Whenever the Soulbound supplement for destruction drops, I do intend to do a Squig Team 6 role-playing adventure where I have everyone takes the character of an orc and they're sent on a mission directly from Gorka Morka. It'll just be like a one-off thing. An army of saber-toothed cats sounds like fun. Heck yeah, dude. That's one where I would probably suggest getting some third-party models so they're not quite all the same. But yeah. Okay, it's coming along. It's coming along. Oh yeah, the Staliarch Lords. Yes, Titanic Toddler wins, and they do. I mean, they're a death faction, but they do have that kind of regal. If you're looking for knights, that's a super good call out. Thank you, buddy. Okay. I'm just going to get these little headlight fenders here. I would need some modifications for third-party models. Yeah. Just got your first shot of the vaccine. Congrats, buddy. Congrats. We have not been notified yet. I did hear, sadly, that Nova canceled, speaking of progress and moving in the right direction. And sadly, Nova got canceled, but I get it. There's way too much money to risk losing it all on stuff if the state doesn't react. Because then again, who knows, man? Who knows what the next couple months are going to look like? It's been nuts. Let's see. Alright, now we get to do my favorite things. Grab, there we go, Nasdaq yellow. So how I'm going to do the headlights here, you do lead belcher and then you just throw some Nasdaq yellow on them. It gives them this nice yellow glint to it. Boom. Right. Doug is the car for Crisis Protocol. It is, yes. Yeah, I've been having a great time painting these things up. The dumpsters went together really, really easily. Boop. Boop. Nice. Now I'm gonna do to eventually, not quite yet, I need things to dry first, but I'm actually going to take some of my Turbo Dork, like the color altering paints, where it kind of goes from like one color to the next. Color shifting, but not really because of copyright reasons, apparently. And do it on the window so that it kind of has a cool little like metallic look to it. But yeah, basically that's mostly it. I have to go and with the white do the license plates and the taxi sign, but that's pretty much it. but that's all there is to it. Question, did you discuss the latest White Dwarf earlier in the stream? No, I did not. Actually, I picked it up. I picked up the White Dwarf yesterday, but I have not had a chance to actually crack it open. But yes, somebody did point me to that article, so I'm going to go check that out afterwards, and I'll probably have a video about it either this week or next week. Because at this point, I'm pretty much excited for anything that's coming out, right? I want Broken Realms Broken Realms Techless, Belacqua, what else? Cursed City. Man, there's a lot coming down the pipeline. And I hope you are all excited for it too. Ooh, I'm in for a treat. Okay, throw that up there. Sweet. Gonna be a cool little taxi cab. I like it. Let's see. Let's get that turbo dork thing out here. Mostly theme armies, a bit weird. My Sylvaneth are all about fire and hate. They want to burn everything down. That's rad. Painting 3 more plague drones right now. Try out a squad of 6. If I run a squad of 6 plague drones specifically, I don't recall. I'll be honest with you. I did quite a few of the other. Well, just a lot of different kinds of Nurgle airborne lists in general, but yeah, they're pretty fun. Now, one thing I can tell you about the color shifting paints is they are very thin. It's going to take a bajillion coats to get it right, but that's okay. Alright, friends, I'm probably going to go ahead and hop off here. My voice is running out and I got to do some more recording today, but thank you all so much for hanging out with me, spending some time on this glorious Friday, and I'll be showing off some of the Marvel stuff that I've been painting over on Instagram and stuff like that here pretty soon. So thank you all so much, and I will catch you next time. Happy wargaming.